Los Angeles, in 2025, is no longer a city of dreams. It has become a ruthless battlefield. Instead of fighting crime or disease, the city declared war against its own residents who simply couldn't afford the high cost of living. Hostile architecture, eviction notices echoing ominously through the night, judgmental media coverage, and stealthy morning sweeps, all part of an effort to erase the existence of those who once called LA home. In this video, you'll witness a war few dare to confront, a brutal clash between glittering Los Angeles and the forgotten people hidden in darkness. This isn't just a crisis, it's an alarming warning for every American city. Because if society continues pushing the vulnerable aside, a collapse is inevitable. There was a time when LA symbolized new beginnings, the Hollywood dream, sunshine, and endless opportunities. Generations moved west to escape harsh winters, find jobs, and rebuild their lives. But today, the city that sheltered these dreams is shaking under a homelessness emergency. This paradise turned battlefield is no longer battling criminals or natural disasters. It's a fierce conflict between the city and its desperate citizens. The current situation seems hopeless, with no clear solution in sight. You've heard the numbers: 75,312 people homeless in Los Angeles. That's not just a statistic. That's more than the entire population of Redondo Beach. These aren't strangers. They're veterans, retirees, former taxpayers, neighbors who spent lifetimes chasing the so-called American dream. Nobody imagines becoming homeless until one unexpected event triggers a domino effect, exposing the truth. The system we trusted, insurance, Social Security, community support, has silently disappeared. The crisis isn't caused by one thing alone. It's a series of hidden tremors slowly piling up, becoming devastatingly heavy. Imagine paying $2,500 for a cramped, outdated apartment while modern skyscrapers spring up overnight, replacing affordable housing that once sheltered thousands of families. Prices for essentials, food, electricity, water, healthcare, have soared out of control. Meanwhile, incomes remain stuck, and subsidies gradually vanish until families collapse under unbearable financial pressure. Even those who still have homes are feeling overwhelmed. Not just sympathy, but anxiety, fatigue, and helplessness. They've grown used to seeing waste scattered on sidewalks, the stench of filth in the air, and shadowy figures wandering aimlessly, becoming a disturbing part of the city's daily life. It's ridiculous, you know? We can't do anything about it. Everywhere you go, you see them. They need help, one resident said. They don't hate the homeless, but they're terrified because deep down, they know they're just one misfortune away from facing the same fate. When a city fails to protect its weakest, even those who appear stable are never truly safe. If a place known worldwide as the symbol of wealth and opportunity allows tens of thousands to live without hope, is there anywhere truly safe from this creeping crisis? Music once comforted and healed, but now, in LA, it's being weaponized. Classical music blares endlessly from public speakers in subway stations, parking lots, and street corners, echoing like a sinister soundtrack. Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, these beloved composers now broadcast loud, distorted loops throughout the night, driving away anyone trying to find rest. This anti-gathering strategy sends a cruel message without official paperwork. You are no longer welcome here. For those with nowhere else to go, music once soothing their souls now brutally pushes them away. Police don't intervene because this method quietly solves the visible problem, making public spaces appear cleaner and more pleasant. But what about the emotions of the homeless? For older generations who cherish these melodies, the music that once filled theaters, classrooms, and homes now delivers a painful contradiction. The songs representing their happiest memories now brutally remind them of their exile. Once a spiritual refuge, music has become an agonizing message for anyone seeking shelter at train stations, a chilling reminder that the city they loved no longer welcomes them home. Nobody wakes up wishing for a sidewalk pillow. Yet illness, layoffs, soaring rents, and random misfortunes creep in like hungry shadows, wiping out savings one coin at a time. The goal of a warm bed fades bit by cruel bit, until hope is no louder than a whisper. Even inside that gloom, a few gentle hands still reach down. In Venice, volunteers created whisper zones, corners where speakers stay silent, so tired elders can close their eyes without sirens or angry horns. There is no banner, no press release, just a hush that lets them breathe like real people again. For many seniors, that hush is the only safety they feel all week. If a soothing melody once healed wounds, yet now explodes from speakers just to chase a sleeper away, what music truly echoes through America today? Imagine Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata thundering through cracked concrete at 2 a.m, not to inspire beauty, but to force a grandmother to stand and wander. Have you ever heard your favorite song and felt it turn cold in your chest? Tap the like button or share your thoughts, because your voice might bring the warmth back. Next, we drift into a landscape where benches, cobblestones, and iron rails murmur their rejection. The shapes are spreading like weeds across Los Angeles. Metal bars slice public benches in half, so no one can stretch out. Uneven stones stab bare feet, so no one dares unroll a sleeping bag. Underpasses bloom with jagged concrete pyramids that sneak up in the dark. These designs are not art. They are barriers, an expanding web of hostile architecture. Those lifeless structures snarl a cruel rule. If you cannot pay rent or prove an address, the entire city will hunt your sleep. Streets that once welcomed children playing tag now hiss move on. For residents who still hold keys, the dividers fade into background noise, yet a secret chill crawls in. If sickness or age steals my income, will these streets spit me out too? Why would a city build against its own heartbeat? When benches reject a body, we'll turn hostile next. Water fountains, bus stops, maybe even playground swings. The boundary between homeowner and outsider is thinner than a sheet of cardboard tonight. When darkness cloaks Los Angeles, the quiet cleanup begins. Garbage trucks rumble, loaders scrape tents, and scattered memories vanish under harsh headlights. Workers wear reflective vests, yet they move like ghosts, collecting blankets still warm from bodies forced to flee. At dawn, the ground looks spotless yet feels haunted. Another sweep complete. Officials call it urban order. For people curled under tarps, it feels like losing home all over again. Last year, crews cleared camps 67 times, some blocks 2 or 3 times a day. One grandfather told reporters he moved 6 times in a single month, each move stealing another family picture, another medicine bottle, another sliver of dignity. They do not riot. They just pack faster, whispering that maybe the next corner will last more than a night. These men and women do not beg for penthouses. They simply crave a quiet corner where no one boots them aside whenever a parade or film shoot arrives. Each tent is not only nylon and poles, it is an admission slip that the safety net snapped. Every forced teardown snuffs out another fragile link between person and city. A few neighborhoods dare to imagine better. Local volunteers pitch the idea of transitional camps that offer lockers, small private pods, and on-site nurses. Bridge Rest LA tested the plan at 2 sites and promised 3 calm months for seniors. The beds filled in hours. Nurses treated infected feet, counselors replaced IDs, and many guests found jobs. The budget, however, collapsed, and public support fizzled. Compassion needs more than coins. It craves patience and a spine strong enough to face misery. Are we cleaning sidewalks or scrubbing our conscience? If a tiny tarp cannot exist now, what shelter waits for any of us when luck dries up? The news once helped us see the world. In today's Los Angeles, the lens twists reality. Not due to missing footage, but because there is too much glare and too little depth. Viewers binge endless clips, scroll headlines that shout trouble on Skid Row, and swipe away before a single name is spoken. Hardship is framed as content. Indifference is sold as information. Each hurried montage shows a sea of tents, yet rarely asks who is inside. That lack of context freezes empathy. It turns veterans, nurses, and teachers into faceless warnings instead of neighbors in danger. When a community loses its stories, it loses its soul. A retired soldier who once guarded distant streets now surfaces in a viral clip labeled "Strange Man" on sidewalk. A single mother who once vaccinated children slips in a background blur on morning TV about unsafe blocks. A kid who aged out of foster care drifts unseen behind a headline about loitering arrests. When truth is trimmed into 10-second jolts, what will the camera do to us when fortune flips? We scroll, we repost, we shrug, then we forget. Yet every shrug chips away at the bridge that could have saved us too. If we only exist in someone else's feed for 10 seconds with a shocking caption, what remains when the scroll moves on? The question burns brighter than any billboard. Will we build a city that protects every sleeper, or a city that edits the unwanted out of the picture? That answer writes the future of Los Angeles, of America, and of any place that dares to call itself home. Because in the end, a society is judged not by its tallest towers, but by the fate of the person lying on the cold pavement beneath them. If we protect that person, we protect ourselves. The strategy is spreading far beyond California. Seattle bolts steel bars under bridges. Houston installs slanted benches no one can sit on for long. And New York plants ugly planters exactly where a person might stretch out. In London, bird spikes once reserved for pigeons now line warm vents outside offices, so desperate people cannot rest. Planners claim it keeps spaces tidy, yet each spike shouts a single message: people in need must disappear. One designer spoke anonymously, admitting the goal was never beauty. He said the brief was simple: make it impossible to lie down. Those 4 words echo louder than jackhammers. Architecture was meant to bring shelter, yet here it is turned into armor guarding empty space. During sweeps, personal papers scatter like confetti down storm drains. Birth certificates, discharge papers, family photos, proof of a life lived in plain sight, wash away before the sun rises. Without those documents, a person cannot rent a room, fill a prescription, or apply for work. The cleanup that claims to restore order actually chains people to the street they are forced to leave. Meanwhile, social media algorithms reward outrage over understanding. A clip titled "Tent City Terror" can earn millions of views in a day, yet a thoughtful interview with a displaced nurse gathers dust. The system feeds on clicks, not context, and each swipe trains us to look away faster than yesterday. Billions of public dollars have flooded Los Angeles in a well-publicized crusade to end street homelessness. Yet the tent cities only sprawl further every month. The more money that flows, the more blue tarps bloom beside freeways. Neighbors stare at the rising totals on city dashboards and mutter the same uneasy question: why does every fresh grant look like water poured on a desert sand? On paper, the mission sounds heroic, but behind the glass doors of various agencies, a different machine may be humming. When aid becomes a full-time industry, it grows its own ecosystem. Executive salaries, service contracts, annual metrics, even lobbyists who benefit when the crisis never truly ends. The city that once produced movies is now producing endless status reports. Construction provides the starkest example. The average cost for a single supportive housing unit has exploded past $1.3 million, enough to buy a beach cottage outright. Projects that promised 400 apartments sometimes finish 30, then stall for years behind fences plastered with fresh completion dates. Officials blame permits, wages, and wild swings in material prices, all logical on the surface, yet unforgiving to the grandmothers still sleeping in a sedan tonight. A half-built complex in Koreatown flaunts a towering sign that declares we are building hope. Right above an empty concrete shell. Below that slogan, families crouch in makeshift shacks, cooking over camp stoves while the crane arm rusts overhead. The contrast is so sharp it almost vibrates. Nobody claims homelessness is simple, but are leaders chasing a genuine cure or merely learning to tolerate the sickness as long as misery stays one block from the tourist district? After most wars, history books name a victor. In this slow-motion battle, only ruins remain. Broken trust, shattered routines, and invisible fractures inside a city that once bragged every dream was possible. Cleanup drives roll at dawn. Workers in neon vests sweep entire encampments into garbage trucks, then post triumphant photos of spotless sidewalks. By sunset, the same tired souls have regrouped under a nearby overpass, proving the sweep solved nothing beyond tomorrow's headline. Each cycle leaves the housed public more numb, and the unhoused more exhausted. Psychologists warn about compassion fatigue, the moment when repeated exposure to suffering flips empathy into self-protection. Los Angeles is approaching that dangerous tipping point. Many residents now stop asking why tents exist and simply pray they will never live in one. When fear replaces curiosity, change stalls. The city once thrived on reinvention. Yet decades of broken promises have seeded bitter doubt. Doubt that kindness can scale, doubt that old age will be safe, doubt that the social contract was ever real. No colorful presentation can cover that spreading crack. The most chilling sight is not a single person beneath a bridge, but a crowd that walks by, without even glancing. Can we still call ourselves a community when neighbors vanish and no one blinks? A new and troubling trend has emerged. Retirees make up the fastest growing slice of the unhoused population. These seniors taught in schools, welded in shipyards, or balanced company books for 40 years. One medical emergency, one rent hike, and their careful plans collapse like paper in rain. If Los Angeles, the economic juggernaut of the West Coast, cannot shield them, what chance does a smaller town have? The pattern is spreading. Phoenix struggles with triple-digit heat deaths among unsheltered elders. Seattle sees tent villages popping up under every elevated highway. San Francisco spends more per resident on homelessness than any city on earth and still breaks nightly shelter records. The map looks like a storm front creeping eastward. Experts warn that without bold new thinking, America will split into two parallel nations, those with a key in their pocket and those forever on the move. The dividing line shrinks whenever a factory closes or a bridge collapses. It could jump to any neighborhood with almost no warning. The 2008 recession and the COVID-19 shutdowns prove that jobs, savings, and even family networks can vanish in a season. Middle-class retirees lost nest eggs. Renters saw landlords sell buildings. Gig drivers fell ill without insurance. The safety net was always thinner than it looked. Yet even now sparks of hope flash. Grassroots teams are building sanctioned camp villages with toilets, lockers, and mental health kiosks. Pop-up dental clinics park beside soup kitchens and fix broken smiles in one afternoon. Local filmmakers post mini-documentaries that dive into each life story instead of relying on blurry B-roll. These experiments cost pennies compared to failed megaprojects, yet they restore dignity overnight. Sociologists insist that keeping a society alive is not just about money. It is about who we choose to see. If the entertainment capital of the world, bursting with celebrity donations and tech wealth, cannot protect its most vulnerable elders, what moral claim does it have? Time is dangerously short, but the ending is not carved in stone. Los Angeles drafted the original American dream on studio lots. It can draft a new chapter on real streets. That rewrite begins the moment enough people face the hidden suffering and refuse to look away.